Dating sims are an underexplored genre. Let me explain. It's easier to make games now than ever before, which in turn has increased the amount of creativity and diversity in the games that we see today. That also means that most genres have been tried and changed and manipulated in so many different ways, they split into dozens of their own subgenres, attracting all kinds of different players. What I'm trying to say is nearly all types of games have shown some transformation from their base formula. A game tries something new, people like it, people try to make a game inspired by that but with something new, and the cycle continues, hopefully improving the genres as a whole. It's a necessary cycle, and the more people participate in it, the more likely it is that the overall diversity and quality of that genre on average will improve, as people will know what works and what doesn't. So, back to dating sims. Dating simulation games, or dating sims for short, are games whose primary purpose is to, well, date characters. The definition of what can count as a dating sim is quite broad, but my own personal definition is any game where the main goal is getting specific characters to love you, and where the interactions with those characters are the primary focus of the game. It doesn't always have to be romantic love, although that's often what is expected from these types of games, so this is the definition I am rolling with for this video. But I can't talk about dating sims without addressing the fact that they do not have the best reputation. It's often associated with porn, used as a side gimmick on a more interesting game, or pure visual novels with very little gameplay apart from the occasional multiple choice question. And because of this, it's still hard to say that dating sims are your favorite game genre without sounding lonely, horny, a weirdo, or all of the above. But you may wonder, what could dating sims offer that other genres couldn't, apart from, actually making you feel like you have a social life? And the answer to that is that those games offer a completely different type of gameplay, the challenge of making people, individuals, like you on a personal level. People are complicated. They have goals, dreams, fears, friends, enemies, likes and dislikes, and so much more. To make a dating sim is to make a game about understanding all of those things and using it to your advantage. Like each different person is a puzzle you have to figure out and manipulate to meet your goal. I sound like a sociopath, but it's fine, because those aren't real people. I swear I'm not a threat to society. Anyway, that's why I think this is a great concept for a genre, and why it bothers me so much that so few games try to go beyond its very limiting visual novel format. Most popular dating sims that are actually banking on the whole social interaction part seem to simply count on good writing and art to get by, and while that certainly makes for a good visual novel, it often means there just isn't that much to speak of gameplay-wise. And even if some of my favorite games are visual novels, they aren't the only thing I want in my dating sims. And I get it, okay? I understand why dating sims have mostly stuck to the event format. Showing character interaction is a lot easier with visual novels, it's easier to show dialogues and emotion and to control the pace of the narrative. But it's not like it's impossible to add mechanics that work on top of that. The lack of visible innovation is really what bothers me when there's so much untapped potential. Using mechanics to interact with characters make me feel closer to them. It feels like I'm doing something instead of autopiloting another character's action once in a blue moon. This is something you can't replicate with romantic movies or anime. The feeling of actually interacting and getting to know someone for your own personal effort, that is something that can only truly be done via video games. This is what I mean when I think that dating sims are underexplored as a genre. And listen, I haven't played every dating sim there is, not even close, so of course you should take everything I say here with a grain of salt. And who knows, maybe I'm just a weirdo and visual novels are the peak of what the genre can be, and adding anything else would be stupid and unnecessary. This isn't what this video is about anyway. It's actually about a game that is very dear to my heart, and while that game is very flawed, it still manages to show a glimpse of the true potential of this genre with its rather unique mechanics and premise. Yet, the game has been near entirely forgotten, apart from very few tidbits on the web that you actively have to search for. So, we finally get to the topic of this video. This is about Shira Oka's Second Chance, the forgotten dating sim. Before I talk about the actual game, however, I want to talk about its conception first, since it's actually a rather unique development story for this type of game.
Shira Oka was made by Okashi Studios. They describe themselves as a group of people who share a passion for Japanese culture, which is a fancy way of saying that they are a bunch of weebs. Although it seems one guy was mostly in charge of leading the whole project, it's pretty hard to find reliable information on how it was actually made. However, they also decided to bring something from Japan which wasn't necessarily common at that time in the West, which were dating sims. The genre only existed in the occasional translated VN or from some obscure porn game. It's a really popular game genre in Japan, but in the US or Europe it was barely considered a genre at all. Which is why a dating sim made by an American studio was essentially unheard of at the time. Especially with how ambitious the game was going to be. It wasn't just a random 10 hours dating sim, it was going to have 10 dateable characters, voice acting, animation, stat mechanics and its own custom engine. Not using RenPy or Unity, mostly coded from the ground up, it even uses its own file extension. Not just that, but there was no Kickstarter or, as far as I know, any funding other than the people working on it, who were themselves mostly volunteers. This game was a product of pure unfiltered passion. It shows that those people really wanted to make something special and they weren't going to let things like money and time get in the way. So you are probably waiting for the obvious punchline. They got too ambitious, the game ended up being a mishmash of things that didn't work together, they couldn't implement everything they wanted, and it ended up a commercial failure. And you'd be kinda right, but this is a little bit more complicated than that, and I will explain what I mean later. The game ended up being released around 2010 on their own website. It's not made entirely clear how long the game took to make. The studio itself was made in 2003, so it could have taken 7 years for all we know. The game's price was around $25 at the time of release, which was rather high for an indie game. Still, it didn't go entirely under the radar and did get a few reviews. However, most of those reviews were rather split. Some said that the game was rather engaging despite some issues, while others said a lot of the flaws far outweighed the good of the game, making it too tedious to enjoy. It did get a TV trope page, along with its own little page in the VN database, so some people clearly cared enough about the game to do those things. However, one day something happened that just made the studio disappear into the void. The game's website lasted a couple of years, and after a while it had to be taken down. The site got hacked and vandalized to the point of unusability, making getting a copy of the game a whole lot harder as every place that sold the game got taken down with it. And with no real place to foster a proper community, the game slowly but surely faded into complete and utter obscurity. Well, that's not completely fair. There is a thread/playthrough of the game that started back in 2011 that is actually still going to this day. Although that is more akin to a bunch of friends watching a bad movie, it's still an entertaining thread and the closest thing the game has to an active community as of now. I actually used this thread for a bunch of research on the game too. I'll put a link in the description if you want to check it out. Apart from that, there is no real recent coverage or even mention of the game anywhere else. I mean, even finding a working download link of the game is hard. I could only find one from the VN database that had a link to a doujin website in Japanese that somehow hosted a working version of the game. The game doesn't even have Japanese version, it's all English. I also had to pay in yens for this, but hey, at least it only cost me 500 yens, which is around $5, so it won't really ruin me. So now you have a relatively good idea of why I think this game is interesting. Not only is the game itself rather unique, but the story of its conception and its downfall into obscurity makes it a game more than worth talking about. This is the primary goal of this video, to make people know the game even exists. The secondary role of this video is to act as a love letter, but I will talk more about how the game influenced me and my taste in games in the actual review part of this video. So even if you don't think the game is good or even that special, I hope I'll be able to at least convey to you why I personally like it, and why I think it matters a lot more than most people give it credit for. Without further ado, let's get to the part where I actually talk about the game itself. You start as a man reminiscing about his failed years of high school. You didn't have any friends, your grades were average at best. It's a miracle you even managed to pass at all. You didn't bother applying to university and now you are stuck working a job you hate. Maybe if you studied a bit more, made a few friends, anything at all. Nah, what's the point? The only thing you look forward to now is drinking, and drinking, and drinking. Until the bartender kicks you out, only to sleep a dreamless night, wake up, and go to work feeling like shit. Nothing to look forward to, and not the drive to do anything about it. But something feels different. It burns. You're on fire. You call a doctor and they tell you it's just a cold, that it will pass soon enough. But it doesn't. It gets worse and worse. Each night filled with nightmares of abstract shapes and visions, filtering every thought with fear. Days seemed to melt into each other and nights lasted years. There was no longer a sense of space and time. Then suddenly, it vanishes. Okay, so before I go any further, I need to talk about how much I love this intro. It's pretty hard to do an intro well. This is when you want your player to be hooked, and I do believe Shira Oka actually has a really solid intro. It's just really common to make you start as the average high school boy, but here you're a man who is nothing short of pathetic. Someone that didn't know anyone, that didn't have any special talent, and is now just wasting his 20s, working a job he hates, and only able to wallow in self-pity and reminiscing about what could have been. You being that bad at just life is a recurring theme, and it's kind of a breath of fresh air from a lot of other dating sims I've played. Also, the sickness part is a pretty cool segment. It has this very eerie and bizarre feel to it, thanks in no small part to the music. The music in this game is, in general, pretty forgettable, but this music fits really well, and I think the writing is also pretty decent to really sell the idea that you're going through a really bad fever dream. Okay, enough about the intro, let's get to where we left off. We wake up and realize it's the 2nd of May, which means we've slept for like 4 days. More worryingly, there's an angel at the other side of the room. Or you're dead, or you've gone insane. Or the angel is real. Well, those options aren't really different, but I guess it's just a tutorial on how dialogue works.
Oh, I didn't hear you come in.
Anyway, this is...
Satsuko? Sorry, it's been such a long time since I've been around someone. I had to think for a moment there.
Well, at least my social life looks pretty good by comparison. Anyway, she explained that she's an angel from heaven, sent to be your agent. She used to be a librarian in heaven, but somehow she couldn't even do something as simple as just keep books on a shelf. As such, she was just sent to take care of you, so now she is your problem. Of course, she is here to clean up your life, because just in case you haven't been paying attention, you kinda suck. So she did the most logical thing she could do. And instead of, say, helping you fix your current life situation, she threw you back in high school so that this time you can actually succeed and not just suck in general. You know, as you do. Anyway, she freaks out about being scared of not giving you the right advice and apologizing for not being good enough. Then back to being happy again when you mention she literally hasn't done anything yet. Satsuko is prone to mood swings, which I'm not sure I want to have on an angel that is capable of rewinding time, but it's not like we have a choice, we got a discount guardian angel and we'll have to stick with that one. Anyway, you wanna know what time it is? That's right, it's character creation time, let's go! Character creation is in multiple parts, but I'm going to speed through the parts that don't matter. You choose your name and last name. Doesn't really matter, but you probably want to have a different last name and first name, or things will get confusing really fast. Birthday. This just chooses your horoscope. I think it makes certain characters like you more and some others less. No one really celebrates your birthday in this game, so doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. Blood type. Same thing, doesn't really matter overall. Alright, finally we're getting to the good stuff. These are your attributes. They impact how good you are at certain things and how easily you can get better at some of those things. You can invest experience points to level those up. You'll get more as you play, so what you choose here right now isn't that big of a deal. What is a big of a deal is the sliders. Those are your natural talents. No matter how far you go into the game or how many experience points you get, you cannot change those. The way it works is by essentially applying a multiplier during stat checks. Let's say you're into a strength stat check and you normally need 2 fitness to succeed, but your slider is slid all the way up to speed. Then that means you'll need 4 points instead of 2 to succeed. Inversely, if your slider was all the way up to strength, then you will only need 1 point of fitness to succeed. Now I am kind of oversimplifying it, there is a little bit more to it than that, but that's for later. So of course, I'm just going to slide things at random. I'm sure I won't end up regretting that choice later. Okay, so quirks. You can also invest in things called quirks with your experience points. Those are generally way more expensive than attributes, but they give a bunch of unique buffs. All of them also give unique conversation options. Although I have no idea what conversation options, to be honest, you wouldn't know any of that from what the game tells you. Did I mention your character sucks? Yeah, you start as a lazy, unlucky, scatterbrained amnesiac. Anyway, this is why I didn't invest any experience points just yet. However, all of those are still really expensive, so I'm just going to make myself determined. Because we are starting a new leaf, and by God, we are going to need some motivation to get through high school again without coming back to alcoholism. I actually really like this system. It's pretty unique for a dating sim to give you the ability to actually make a character build. Anyway, we are done with that now. Satsuko gives us a few tips on the things we are going to use in game. One is a button that allows us to talk to her. This is a terrible option that is going to piss her off. Let's pick it. Well, maybe because I'm a really nice person that is fun to be around, never thought of that. I'm sorry, I'm a really nice person, I swear I didn't mean to yet. Did I mention Satsuko has mood swings? It's great. I'm being mean to her, but in all honesty, she can be really helpful. She gives you tips on other characters, how much they like you, what they like, how you're doing in general. There's the calendar. It does exactly what you think it does. It's actually very useful since it lets you check how close some events are to today, so you can prepare accordingly. Although the great majority of events are random, the mandatory ones that always appear are always shown in the calendar, like exams for example. Settings, you can save and you know what settings are, come on. Oh, and all of this, those are your stats, and I'll get to those later, when we can actually do anything with them. We also have 2 bars on the right, stamina and stress. If any of those bars get too low, you get sick or really sad, making you unable to do anything but rest. Okay, enough about mechanics, let's play the video game. So now that we get a second chance at life, let's do what we do best. Sleeping and contributing nothing useful to society. Well, Satsuko told us to go to the shopping district so we can actually go outside and touch grass, so we might as well.
Hey, you!
I haven't really mentioned the art, but you know, the art can be kind of inconsistent. It's good to remember that it was made by volunteers and by people who probably didn't have that much experience beforehand. So I'm willing to forgive it, but some sprites are, well, they are something. Just lower your expectations when it comes to the art and you'll probably be fine. You get used to it eventually. Anyway, this is Aya. She says we met her, but we haven't. We were allegedly too sick to see her. Apparently we forgot our phone and she kept it for a while to give it to us later. No, that's not bad, but she gave her phone number to everyone she knew, without consent. If that sounds like a red flag, then oh boy do I have news for you. Aya is, she's, no, that doesn't sound right. She's, yeah, that sounds like right.
That's my character! I'm the trash man!
Okay, so I'm planning on putting a few basic anime tropes you can recognize when I introduce characters, but Aya is kind of just special in that instead of trying to have any attractive qualities, she seems to accumulate flaws like they are fucking Pokemons. Every characters are flawed in their own way, but Aya is straight up on another level, and she's probably one of the most widely hated characters just in general. Now it's kind of hard to see that from just her intro. She almost seemed like a decent person, past the fact that she gave your phone number to everyone without asking, but you'll get to see that part of her soon enough. Well, whatever, she gives us her phone back, so it's fine. She then proceeds to... What's this music? Oh no. Oh god, it's a personality test. God damn it, I wasn't prepared. Okay. Favorite thing to do after school? Hang out with friends. Wait, I have no friends. God damn it, I'm already messing this up. Okay, most important thing about high school. Getting involved. How would I impress someone? Make them something, like pasta. What would I want as a gift? Something useful, like alcohol. The most important thing in life. Living how you want to. Okay, well done. What does it mean? What do you mean? My test result. What kind of person am I? I don't have the result. My sister ripped off the result page. You motherfucker! Anyway, that's Aya, so that's done. Anyway, as stated previously, we got our phone, which is one of the most important items in the game. Getting someone's phone number is basically getting a massive advantage, since it means you can call them whenever and set up dates with them or just talk over the phone. However, because we are a Sigma male, we do not have any number, not even our parents' phone number. But it's fine, because we are a Sigma male, we do not need things such as friends and a social life. I'm so lonely, please help.
And then when I turned around, there was a huge tiger sitting there drinking tea. I got scared. I mean, I've never had tea with a tiger before. I really don't...
Yes, I'm kind of split on the voice acting, but for some reason Rena kind of bothers me. I think I just expect Rena to talk really fast, like a super excited child, but she talks like she's just high all the time. Also, the voice acting is only for introductions of characters and important events. It's not here all the time, which I'm kind of thankful for, to be honest. Although it does mean I have to voice characters at times, so yeah, sorry about that. Anyway, here's Rena. She's... yeah, I don't like agreeing with Aya, but resident lunatic is the best way to describe her. It feels like she's constantly talking about a video game that doesn't exist, and everyone just kind of nod their head to whatever she's saying because they don't want to be rude. She's absolutely obsessed with the supernatural, although she never seems to be able to prove it. Still, she's mostly a nice person as long as you're willing to go along with her wackiness. Then there's Naruko. Naruko can best be described as the big sister, not yours though, the one of another character. Still, she basically acts motherly to everyone she knows, cooking food and trying to help everyone when she can. She is also denser than a black hole at times, and it can make arguing with her near impossible. Anyway, I'm taking the side of Rena specifically because it pisses off Aya. And we get our first work type, popularity. I'm going to go over how work on time function as fast as I can. Weeks are separated into segments, the 5 first days and the weekend. When you choose something to work on, time will start to pass until you reach the next week segment. You will work on whatever you chose during that entire segment, and you can't choose something different to do with each day.
Oh, I heard you were dead. Good to see that's not the case, though.
Anyway, here's Hiroshi.
I'm Hiroshi, by
Hiroshi is basically the textbook definition of a Chad. Kind of. Hiroshi is a model student, really fit, but he's also kind of a massive douchebag. I'd call him your rival, but he's legitimately so out of your league that you can't even really compare to anything this guy excels at, which is seemingly everything. Although he is supposed to be popular, most characters that have more than 2 brain cells seem to hate him. Which is good, because I really don't want to take his side for anything ever. I actually hate him more than Aya, believe it or not, but whatever, I don't want to spend more time talking about him than necessary. Alright, now we can finally see the popularity work animation. Each work has 4 results: failure, success, critical success, and critical failure. Each of those has a unique animation, which is why I like to leave the animation on, even though there is an option to skip it. Okay. I don't even need friends anyway. Wait, is that... oh my god, it's Best Girl. She literally has 1 work animation, she doesn't have a name, she only exists in this, but I love her and she's the best and this is my video and I make the rules. Look how happy she is. Oh my god, I love her so much. I'm going to call her Girl B. As you can see, despite only working on one thing, all the stats are still moving around. That's because each work type usually raises 3 different stats, and any stat that doesn't get raised will slowly degrade. You basically have to know what work type affects what and how to play around it to maximize efficiency.
Kiku, this is the kid who missed the first 3.5 weeks of school. Oh, hello. It is very nice to meet you. I heard a nasty rumor that you died.
Anyway, this is Kiku. probably one of the only people who considers Aya a friend. Kiko is the rich popular girl, an ice queen, whatever the name of the trope is. She can feel a little bit pretentious at times and basically judges you for having fun, but she can actually be pretty nice when you actually get to see more of her. Anyway, Aya talks about some dumb manga she's been reading and oh god, timer! Oh damn it, I gotta do Aya. Yes, some conversation options have a timer. It can be increased with the attentive trait. It doesn't show up that often, but it can actually screw you over if you don't think fast. Anyway, we get literature, coolio.
Surprise! Hey! What the hell? Bet you never saw that coming. What the hell was that for? Just for fun.
Alice, she's kind of hard to pin down on a specific trope, but she's an American transfer student that got here recently. So of course, the first thing she does to bring American values in Japan is shooting up the school. With a water gun, but you know, it's the thought that counts. Alice is mostly a pretty cool person until you start disagreeing with her, in which case she can get angry pretty quickly. Thankfully, unlike Aya, her texts are usually pretty good, so there's very little reason to actually argue against her.
Woo! Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about. Woo!
Oh! Who are you? What are you doing here? What? Why? Kusanagi Kasumi.
Huh, so that's Kazumi. Kazumi is kind of a nobody. Think of the weird kid that no one even notices exist until they are asked to answer a question by the teacher. That's who she is. She is the only character that is not part of any friend group, and her events are pretty rare overall, as she's actually a pretty bad student, although she is smart in other ways. She also mentions Aya has told the result of the personality test we took with her to everyone else. I'd be lying if I said I was surprised. It is swim season, which means we can join the swimming club. Except we can't, because we suck. Getting into the swimming club gives you a work type that is much more efficient at writing sports. But right now, all we can do is be the towel manager, so we can give towels to the actual Chad members of the swimming club. Towel work sucks, and there's basically no reason to use it over any other type of work. It's basically just here to mock you.
It is okay.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that voice acting. This is Yui. She's shy. Listen, I usually have a lot to say about other characters, but I find Yui to be rather boring most of the time. She doesn't talk much, and because of this, she doesn't argue with other characters quite as much. This means it's kind of hard to discern her opinions on anything. She does have some quirks and can act surprisingly aggressive when something bothers her, but apart from that, if you have ever forgotten to put a comma in one of your essays, then Yui probably stole it to use it on one of her many ellipses. Satsuko comes out of the blue to ask us if she can come to school with us. Of course, we tell her no, as she is not a student and she's going to find a way to just make everything worse like she always does. Anyway, we take our exams, and the results are... Huh, we got a bunch of C's. That's actually really good considering how much we suck. Although one thing to remember is that other characters consider C bad and B good. So characters will in fact go out of their way to remind you of how bad you've done, even if the grades you have are average.